So we're going to have a look at the exit paths that you did after practicing how to answer questions where you had to work out from the question whether or not you were adding or subtracting the fractions. So question 1 here. Right, Stephen is making smoothies. He used 2/3 of a kilogram of strawberries and 4/5 of a kilogram of bananas. How much does the fruit weigh altogether? Basically, because it's saying altogether, it means you're going to be, in this particular one, you'd have been looking to add these two numbers, two fractions rather, together. So we should be adding 2/3 and 4/5. And of course, to add our fractions, we need to have our denominators the same. So we're basically looking for the lowest common multiple of 3 and 5 so that we can make the denominators the same. So first number that's in both times tables is 15. So we're going to change both fractions into something out of 15. And of course for this one, you have to multiply the bottom by 5 to change it into 15. So that means you will have to multiply the top number. So we end up with 10 here. So 2/3 is the same fraction as 10 over 15. And we're also looking at this one, so we would have to times that 5 by 3 to change it into 15. So we do the same with the 4. We will have to times by 3 as well, so we will have 12 there. And the next part after that is that once the fractions, you've got them in the same denominator, it is just the top numbers that are getting added. So you're adding that 10 add the 12 is 22 over 15. Now that's an improper fraction, top heavy fraction. Normally we would usually suggest changing that into a mixed number. However, if you look through all the answers here, none of them have been given in mixed number form. But there is one that matches this 22 over 15, and that of course would be our answer A. With question 2, right, Joanne and Emma both have the same amount of homework. Joanne answers 5/6 of the questions and Emma answers 2/3 of the question. And the key phrase here is how much more does Joanne answer than Emma? Now if it was whole numbers, think about what you would do. If somebody answers 10 questions and somebody else answers 6, and you're saying how much more does one person answer than the other, then hopefully you could see that that was going to be a takeaway, that you'd be doing a subtraction. So what you should be doing here is that we're doing 5/6, because clearly if they're saying how much more does Joanne answer, so they're clearly saying to you he's answered more, so his will be the bigger fraction. 5/6 take away 2/3. And just like when you're adding, you need the bottom numbers to be the same. So the lowest common multiple of 3 and 6, the first number that's in both the 3 times and the 6 times table is in fact 6. So that first fraction doesn't need to change, but the second one does. And we change it we've changed from 3 into 6 by times and by 2, so we need to times the top number by 2 as well. So 2/3 is the same as 4/6. If you subtract those two terms from each other, you end up, remember it is just the top numbers that you subtract, so 5 minus 4 is 1, and that's all about 6, so your answer would be 1/6, which would have been answer D. For the next question, Theo and Finn sharing a bar of chocolate. Theo eats 1/10, so that's one of our fractions. Finn eats 2/5 of the chocolate bar, so this is back to how much did they eat all together. So all together means that you're going to be adding the two things, so you've got 1/10 plus 2/5, and obviously to add these two fractions together we need the denominators to be the same, and in this particular instance the denominator would need to be 10. First number that's in the 5 times and the 10 times table is 10. So the first fraction remains the same, but the second one, to change 5 into tens, you are multiplying by 2. So you also need to multiply the top number by 2. So we end up with 4 tenths there. If we add these two fractions together, add in the top numbers only, so 1 add 4 is 5, that is over 10. And clearly, with the rules of fractions, by now you should know that you're always expected to simplify your answer, and 5 tenths we can divide both of those numbers by 5, and that fraction simplifies and becomes a half. So your answer for this one should be answer A. For question 4, Adam drinks 8 4/5 of litres of water in a week. Maggie drinks 6 3/4 litres. So how much more water does Adam drink than Maggie? So you're comparing the two amounts. One's clearly bigger than the other, so it's a takeaway that we need to be doing here, or a subtraction. So we're doing 8 4/5 minus 6 3/4. And of course, to deal with our mixed numbers, we should know to change them into improper fractions or top-heavy fractions. We do that by doing 8 times 5, so your whole number times your bottom number, that's 40. Add on the top number, 44, and it's all about the fifths. So 44 fifths minus, with the other one, you're doing 6 times the 4 is 24, add on the 3 is 27 over 4. Now we're ready to subtract the fractions, and our process to do that, we need to get the bottom numbers to be the same. And the first number that's in the 4 times and also in the 5 times table is the number 20. So we need to change the bottom of our fractions to 20. This left-hand fraction you have multiplied by 4 to get you to be 20, so you'd have to times that top number by 4 as well. So you will end up with 176 on the top of that fraction, and you are minusing on this one. You've multiplied by 5, so you'll have to times the top by 5, so you end up with 135 on the top of that fraction. The denominators are the same, so our answer will be in 20ths, and it's a matter of taking 135 away from 176, and that is of course 41. Now in this one, yes, if we look through the list we can see there's a matching answer here. However, you need to pay attention to everything and read everything. The question says give your answer as a mixed number, and at the moment our answer is an improper fraction, a top-heavy fraction. To change it into a mixed number, we need to be saying how many times does 20 go into 40, and 41, it goes in twice with remainder 1. So your answer would be 2 and 1/20. And of course, if you look through, you will see that that is answer C. So those of you that went for B, you were too quick or you missed out the detail that said give your answer as a mixed number. So it's important that you read the whole question when you do this. Okay, last question. Right, a thief, a thug and Mr. X steal a case of diamonds. The thief takes 1/4 of the diamonds. The thug only gets 1/6. What fraction is Mr. X left with? Well, in order to answer that, we need to think about how much have the two people who've already taken some away, how much did they take away in total. So if we work out what 1/4 plus a 6 is, and to add those two fractions we need to get the bottom numbers to be the same. First number that's in the 4 times and the 6 times table is the number 12, so that tells us the bottom of our fraction needs to be 12. So clearly to change 4 into 12, so we would have to times by 3, and we'd have to do that on the top number. So 1/4, same fraction as 3/12, and our 6 we have times by 2, so top and bottom times them by 2 would mean you'd have that. So 3/12 plus 2/12 all together would be 5/12. Now that's what the two people who took away their share, if you like, so they've taken away 5/12. So what would be left would be 1 whole take away 5/12. Now 1 whole is the same thing as 12/12. So 12/12 take away 5/12 would mean that the person who was left, Mr. X, he would be left with 7/12, which would of course be answer C. So well done if you got that one, a wee bit trickier to think through.